ourselves true patriotic Antiguans and Barbudans. However, I'm cognizant, Dave, of the unease suffered by some persons over my decision when I first entered elective politics and by contesting a seat in the democratically House of Representatives back in 2004. And, Dave, this is really a thorny issue which I think I should deal with in a forthright way today, in an open and straightforward way, because I cannot ignore it. And no one has yet meaningfully questioned my ability, my qualifications to represent people at the highest level in the House of Representatives. But sadly, however, my critics and even, certain colleagues and even, I would say, the political leader of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party have questioned whether a white, wealthy, young Antiguan should aspire to the highest level of political power in Antigua and Barbuda. And it's clear to me that now that they have seeking to exclude me, to eradicate me from that essential part of our country's life, which the Constitution of Antigua and Barbuda, which we all know, keeps open to every single person, no matter your race, your ethnicity, your background, your color. It is determined by the qualifications set down therein in the Constitution. And this is a matter of very deep regret for me, personally. Because hundreds of non-black families who ever settled in Antigua over the centuries to make this beautiful country their home, and indeed to persons such as myself, my family, for generations, this is the only home that we have known. And we consider ourselves true Antiguans and proud Antiguans who have made our contribution to this country, to the development. And my family is not white. I've never ever considered myself white. So, in the historical, social, political sense of the word white, and to denote a first world European or North American person who dictated the life of Antigua and Barbuda for all those years prior to independence. We are Lebanese, Dave. And we are Lebanese from a very, very poor farming, simple peasant village located very high up in the mountains where hard work, love of God, love of family, love of fellow men. That's what dictates our values, the hope for the future for one's children, for one's country. And our great-grandparents, it's important that I set the record today and set it straight. We were poor peasants, poor farmers who emigrated to the West over 150 years ago. We came on, cargo boats, landed in New York, Staten Island. We were deported, stamped deported. Got on cargo boats, some ended up in Guadeloupe, some in Trinidad, Venezuela, Antigua, and that's why there was so much Lebanese in the Caribbean. The point is that we worked hard, educated our children, so that future generations would not have to work as physically hard as their parents and our grandparents did. But we had a dream, and we succeeded in business, and their success was attributable to the honest and straightforward, caring way in which they treated customers, the customers and their employees, that their kindness and the philanthropy to the church, the schools, and to their fellow men. I mean, you take, for example, someone like my uncle, the late Mitchell Michael. People like Keith Edwards' father, Charles Edwards. He started out in business. The present Governor General, Sir Ernest Williams, worked with him right there on Corn Alley. In Mitchell A. Michael, which we know as Continental. Kenneth Gomez, Mr. Dinellis, Brian and Richard Dinellis' father. A lot of people passed through there. And my ancestors, like Mitchell and Morris and my late grandfather, ASOT Michael, they died in peace with their conscience, that they they fulfilled their dream. So some people say we are not white because we are Arab. Others say we certainly don't behave like the original white people, the colonial English, who exploited black people in this country for 400 years. We did not inherit the ethic of the colonizer. We are certainly not the descendants of slave owners. So people in this country never, ever associated us with the colonizers. We succeeded the English and the Scottish merchants because we had success over them. We gave credit. My great-grandfather traveled and traversed this country with a crocus bag around his back. From town to Bethesda, to Freetown, to Willowkeys, to Parham, giving credit. We were the first to set up credit. The Syrians came long after us, like old man Mr. Hadid and so forth, and they learned from us and did the same. And I must say it's the black indigenous Antiguans who gave us food and water and took us shelter into their homes and treated us with respect. So it's a love, it's a bond of friendship that we developed between the customers and our great-grandparents and grandparents. So I just want to say that we are proud of that, and let not that success be turned into a negative mark against me by my rivals and my critics. Let not my kindness, Dave, and my generosity to others, now that I'm in politics for the last 18 or 20 years, be used by jealous persons to criticize and malign me and say that, I use my philanthropy to bribe persons for doing what I have been taught to be an honorable and Christian duty, which is to help people. Because I just want to say that I inherit those genes in my DNA. I can't help but to know that, when I go to sleep at night, Dave, that I can help people that are less fortunate than I am. And I do it out of love. I do it because I feel that this country has been good to my family over the generations. And I was fortunate to have been born into a family that worked hard and achieved, as I said, relative success. And we have enough to satisfy our immediate needs, and thank God sufficient left over to tend to the needs of others. And it is that spirit, Dave, it is in that spirit of my family to reach out to and assist persons less fortunate than me that causes me to help people. It is part of our culture into which I was born, just as our affinity for business, that, and good food, we love good food too. What is the ethos which drives my kindness to others? It's not just about politics. My late grandfather was like that. My father, Patrick Michael, Morris Michael, he was a philanthropist. I cannot see people in need and turn a blind eye. There's no joy in basking in the glory of hefty deposits in a bank account. There's none. Or in a commercial bank. But it's an unending pleasure for me to see and appreciate faces of those whom I have helped over the years. So I just want to say, it is the ethos which drives my kindness to others, that really it is the hallmark of the life that, Tim Hector wrote of Morris Jerome Michael, my late uncle, when he died. He said money for Morris Michael was not only to be made and accumulated, it was, to put it simply, to be used for the social good. And in this respect, he's an enduring and immortal example. And no tribute to Morris Michael can recount, and I quote from the Outlet newspaper, the numerous acts of social good from which he himself led no benefit to derive. For instance, when I was going off to university, and this is Tim, he sent to call me, spoke in casual terms, and when I was leaving, he casually gave me an envelope in which there was a note, an encouragement, and some money. Not a few, I'm told, could give similar testimony. Morris Michael in his life received no national honor. However, this nation has produced few more notable citizens, few more noteworthy patriots, and they know it. It remains a fact unquestionably low that he achieved the highest honor this country can bestow, in that Morris Jerome Michael was held and will be held in the highest regard by citizens great and small, not for his generosity of spirit alone, but because of how he lived and what he did in that life recently ended. He was the citizen's citizen. And just permit me, Dave, I know we don't have a lot of time, but many people do not know that the same Morris Michael, he transformed the entire outlook of the city of St. John's.
St. John's?
St. John's, yes. The housing developments that he reshaped the whole southwestern outlook of the capital. Through his efforts, his vision is complete. Agglomerations have sprung up, and today they represent the most beautiful expansion of the city. Otter's Newtown, Radio Range and its heights, acres, hundreds and hundreds upon acres, all on All Saints Road, the American Road, would have remained barren were it not for his will to develop them into housing areas. He flattened hundreds of acres of land, opened roads, built gutters, brought in electricity and water. This was a gigantic task, all during the 1960s and early 1970s with Leo Gore. Then he would have virtually chiseled, I apologize. He actually chiseled where the hospital is. It was a huge hill, Dave.
That's where Mount St. John
Mount
is.
St. John. And he chiseled